So every so often, I like to have a guest who talks about entrepreneurship, who talks about running a business, dealing with running a business, anything that is going to help my audience succeed. And today, I have with me Nile Saïd. He's a strategist who helps entrepreneurs grow their businesses without burning out. He's founder of GoOneUp, and after years in the trenches of business and personal development, he now works with entrepreneurs to rebuild their capacity, get clear on what matters, and install systems that make scaling simpler. Trained under Tony Robbins and Donald Miller, plus certified as a StoryBrand guide and business made simple coach. He's passionate about helping leaders grow businesses that support their lives, not consume them. So, without further ado, here is Nile Saïd. Welcome, Nile.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Adrian. I really appreciate this.
I just want to get right into it.
Sure.
Tell me a little bit about your personal journey, I guess from where it started to building to GoOneUp where it is today.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. Some people might find this a difficult opportunity to chat about their past, but I feel it's part of the journey, and I think more people need to voice it for themselves. And so I've been coaching quietly since 2009, but since then I went through a number of different professions and fields out on my own from web design, and then even ran a full e-commerce fulfillment operation for all of Canada at one point. It was perceived to be quite a big company in operation, but it was a one-man show. And it took its toll. I didn't see it. And after 7.5 years of burning the midnight oil, it took its toll. And when it came to a stop, it was only then, unfortunately, that I noticed that I couldn't function. And I have to add that this is not something I wish upon. I don't wish this upon anyone, considering the point where I love working with people and I love interacting and sharing ideas. And I find myself to be an extrovert. So not being able to complete my thoughts, my sentences, being afraid to be around people, I knew that something had snapped or turned off within me. And so my nervous system shut down. It took me some time to come out of that, but I wish I've seen the warning signs earlier. And even though I knew all the strategies, it was incredible. Some people find this strange. I've been studying the areas of personal development for years, most of my life, actually, since I was a teen. And so the strategies, and I think everyone knows what they're capable of doing or what they can do.
Yep.
But it's another thing to act on that, or be able to execute on the things that if you don't have that personal, I use the word really and the word capacity, and to have that capacity. And that's why I position myself and help entrepreneurs as a capacity growth strategist to this day, because I want to help them not only within their businesses, but within their lives so they can succeed, flourish, and be prosperous.
That's awesome. That's awesome because and being, in the same boat. And I think that's sort of, sometimes you can see the warning signs, even though you don't do anything about it, or you're kind of almost looking at yourself from a distance and going, oh my gosh, I'm heading down that road. And I think it's very valuable to have somebody like you in their corner, really, to kind of help guide them. So tell me, like, how do you shift the mindset, from an operator, who's like really working in their business to becoming more of a strategic entrepreneur?
Well, it's interesting, but entrepreneurs, we're often trapped in everything that we do. And whether you're a one-man show or one-woman show, or if you even have a small team, we still feel as though we need to really grind at it. And with the hustle culture, I don't think that helps. The idea that people feel as though they have to constantly hustle. I think it's really about self-awareness. And I think that's where some people miss this key component and characteristics of their day-to-day lives and how they even communicate with themselves, let alone the people around them, their teams, their families, their neighbors, and so on. So it's the idea of being able to know that there's more to their progress within themselves and their growth than just what comes out of their business. And again, they could fall short. And unfortunately, people and entrepreneurs and small business owners fall short after the fact rather than during the process. And I think that's important. And that's why I really focus on helping entrepreneurs bring self-awareness to what they're doing, how they're doing it, and building in strategies, not just thoughts, not just words of encouragement.
Hmm.
It's the ideas of strategies and ideas to what, first of all, lights someone up. Secondly, how can they apply that to their business and their lives so they can really show up in their most optimal way and approach to what they do on a day-to-day basis so they don't burn out, so the warning signs don't come up and they don't show up. And it's the breakthroughs that come when you have these setbacks, and if you're self-aware, you'll see these opportunities. But
Hmm.
if you're lacking a little bit of the self-awareness and you're just going through the grind, that's when the best moments and experiences fall short.
Hmm.
And we know that we try to aim to be successful in everything we do, whether it's our
Hmm.
health and our relationships and our businesses. There's that self-awareness that needs to be a key.
And do you think sometimes, like, like as you were saying, like burning the midnight oil and everything like that, is like, do you think that, like, it's just maybe working less is the best way to help prevent burnout, or is that the solution?
It's not. It's really not.
Oh,
It's
okay.
working less is not. It's interesting. We think that cutting back the hours could be the solution. I believe in efficiencies. And this is where I think further guidance and strategic approaches could really help shape one's day to day, week to week, month to month, quarter to quarter, on an annual basis. There's there's always something that's shifting, right? We know this. We
Hmm.
know that there's something always shifting within a business or the operations, or we could even feel off the next day because we had 5 meetings yesterday and we're really not. And that's exhausting. I mean, not in
Hmm.
a bad way, but that takes a lot of energy. I mean, 20% of our energy is consumed by thought alone. If we're making someone think and overthink, and we're thinking all the time, trying to stay present, engaged within the meetings themselves, working with our team, the clients that we're serving, and running the operations, that consumes us.
Hmm.
So it's not a matter of being, I don't believe the hours is a factor. I think it's a matter of how we use the hours and how we could strategically use that. And that's where I come in to support. I'm not saying here I am. I'm just saying here's an opportunity to shed light on a systems, on the systems and the processes that might be or may not be in one's business, to be able to systemize and get the strategies that will help foster and support the business, not hinder it. And
Got
that's
it.
that's what's important. And when you feel as though you have certain systems and methodologies and approaches in place, imagine the ease that you have,
Hmm.
without the anticipation of, oh, what am I going to do about this tomorrow? Or what do we have to do about this? Or we need to develop a proposal for this one client that's coming up. If you have the systems in there on what your business is, and you truly know and understand where your business is coming from and how you serve, it
Hmm.
becomes more effortless. It
Yeah.
becomes more enjoyable.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
agree.
so there's no guessing. There's no guessing involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because last time you and I met in person, which was just a couple days ago, it's funny because I came in there and I was wiped. I was exhausted, and the reason wasn't and the funny thing is I thought about it afterwards. As I was driving home after that we met at a networking event, and it wasn't the day that got me. And this is the funny thing, because I had a full day, but it was like meeting after meeting, and then there was some projects that needed to be done, and I had a new idea that I wanted to start implementing. So I started writing and doing everything like that. So the one thing that got me, Niall, was I had to drive from the office to the event. And that is, Google Maps on a at 2 o'clock in the morning would be a 3 minute drive. It took me 25 minutes to get from here to there. Traffic around here is crazy. But that 25 minutes of sitting in my car, dealing with all that stuff, all of a sudden I went like this and I dropped because like everything was going great. Everything was fantastic. I had scheduled everything right, and that's what blew me away. And I was wiped out. And so I can attest to that, like as far as the amount of effort, I guess unscheduled effort that went into that drive. It kind of wiped me out. I felt better later on after I had a little energy shot there, but yeah, I was.
It helps.
Mhm.
It's interesting. We only recognize that when we're going full force, and then we're somewhat it's somewhat imposed upon us that we have to stop, or we hit a wall, and then all of a sudden it's almost like that animation, that cartoon where you just see something running, and that cartoon, and they hit a wall and they literally just smear them. They're literally sliding down that panel,
Hmm.
because they just didn't even see it coming, and next thing you know, it just took all the wind out of them. This is what happens a lot of
Hmm.
times. It's interesting, and that's not a sign necessarily of burnout, but it is a sign, if I may, to suggest the idea that maybe having people that experience this, we experience this every day, don't add the little extra breaks that we might need just to even get up from our desks. And I know this might sound so common and second nature. Get up your desk and go for a walk, or change scenery, hydration. These are basic things, but we take it for granted, so much so that we forget them.
Hmm.
And all of a sudden it sort of compounds over the day to, it's almost like, oh my goodness, I just can't believe I need to go this far, or okay, 25 minutes. What's a perspective? I mean, again, self-awareness and perspective is another
Hmm.
thing. If there's somebody put in that position, they could use that time as a moment of, well, they don't even know it's going to be 25 minutes until they see the map. But here's an opportunity to saying, you know what, here's my chance to listen to my favorite artist, or the audiobook I want to catch up, shifting gears and just giving yourself that little variety. I'm not saying you did this wrong. I'm just saying, hey, sometimes we don't even know that we need it. But
Hmm.
if we could be that self-aware, and in that moment to realize, okay, how could I optimize this moment, and even give myself maybe even 3% more capacity to make it to the event, or to get home safely, or
Hmm.
to get home and know that I have to cook dinner and so and so is coming over. You want to be able to find that brings joy in the moment, not dread. And then all of a sudden know that you could step up without this massive burden on your shoulder. So there's so many different ways,
Yeah.
but it's that idea of recognizing, saying we don't have to be a superhero. We could be gentle with ourselves. And that was the turning point for me too. It was my brother that told me after my nervous breakdown. He said, because I was trying hard. I couldn't believe why I couldn't shake this debilitating feeling that I had within me. And he said, Niall, you just take care of yourself. Be gentle. The be gentle statement hit me like a rock,
Hmm.
and I couldn't believe it. And from that point forward, I'll share this, and I've shared this with a few people that I work with and clients, just to give them perspective. From that point forward, in the efforts of not even trying to make sure that I fall into depression, or slips and slide even deeper, I made a vow to myself. And this is all I said. I'm going to wake up. If I don't do anything else today, I'm going to get out of my bed, brush my teeth, wash my face. That's it. I mean, it came to that point.
Hmm.
I don't wish this upon anyone. But
Hmm.
again, being gentle with myself to allow my body to heal, so I could have the capacity to do just one more thing tomorrow. And if I get the strength
Yeah.
to go for a walk, I will. If I have the strength to pick up the phone to call a friend or text someone, I will. And I think that's something that we have to give ourselves sometimes permission to do. So I just wanted to add that perspective, because we can't be heroes all the time.
No, no, and I think we push ourselves more than we push everybody else. Yeah, and sometimes we push ourselves to the limit and over the limit sometimes. And really, if there's nobody there to pull us back from the edge, to kind of take perspective, to stop and heal, like you said, like to be able to kind of, I guess take a breath, right? And you just you'll keep going to the point of where you could burn out. And yeah, it doesn't, you're right, it's something that we all have to kind of like look at our capacity, and figure out how to manage it properly. So I want to go into something else here, because there's something that
Sure.
you were bringing up earlier, and that I mentioned off the top, and that is about StoryBrand. Tell me a little bit about StoryBrand. Tell me a little bit about Business Made Simple, like the frameworks to then take this to simplify the growth of a business, growth of an entrepreneur.
Right. Okay. So I'll tell you real quick, the reason why I became certified as a certified StoryBrand guide and Business Made Simple and Flight Plan coach is, I recognize that these are amazing frameworks and approaches to helping a small business, whether you're a startup or well established. And there's two main things that happen within a business. And there's another area that we could talk about later, but there's these two areas of brand marketing and messaging and professionalizing your business with Business Made Simple and the flight plan strategy. These things, again, these frameworks in themselves help build capacity within yourself and your business. And that's
Hmm.
one of the reasons why I adopted them. The reason why they're so effective is they build on the notion and the ideas of how people function. So if we looked at story brand and marketing, just to give you an idea, when we're working with anyone and we're wanting to make the sale or we want to get our message across, there are certain ways to do that that help resonate your message to whoever you want to share that with. And there are strategies that could help do that in a very simple, non-threatening, fun, and engaging way that will bring people into a story. And that's where
Yeah.
the story brand comes in, where we position ourselves as a business owner, as the guide, meaning I have a service and product and I know what your challenge is. I can relate. We can see that clearly. Here's a solution. We want you to be successful. That's really the in a nutshell what StoryBrand is. We
Hmm.
want to take somebody through, and first of all, it's not about the sale, it's about making someone successful. That's what we do. We want someone to be successful. We're not going to sell a product, at least if we have integrity. The fact is, we're not going to sell a product that's going to make somebody worse.
Right.
Anyways, I mean, I hope not.
Hmm.
I mean, I would never, I can't stand by a product that I would want to sell or service where
Hmm.
it's going to make someone's life worse.
Yeah,
So,
you're trying to solve the problem, not make more problems.
right, make more
Right.
problems. And if you stand by your product and service, it should become effortless as long as you know what problems it's solving and it's going to meet their clients' needs, their basic needs and goal in life. And all of us is how do you make my life easier and how can I survive? And if you're going to meet my needs, even in film production, digital marketing, my life as a whole, my lifestyle is out of whack and I need to bring more balance into it to add fitness and healthy eating and sleeping habits and so on. There's so many different strategies and programs and services out there. But if you know you can meet and exceed in meeting that client's needs in their facing their problems and coming up with a solution, you have a message. And in order to package and really send that message out in a story brand framework, and as a story brand guide, I could be able to work with somebody to do that, and it's very easy to do, and actually it's pretty enjoyable. So that's story brand and marketing and messaging, and that's just one component of what the Business Made Simple and Flight Plan is. And
Hmm.
the Business Made Simple and Flight Plan, that is taking a look at your entire business. Now you may
Right.
not have a weak component in all areas of your business, from leadership down to the cash flow and everything in between. But there is a great opportunity to be able to look at your business. And I said flight plan because it's really great to be able to look at your business like a plane. So the cockpit is where the pilots who actually, you know, drive this and fly this plane,
Hmm.
they're the leaders. They know the direction and so on. And if you're the leader in your business, you need to know what direction you're going in. So to be able to help fine tune your mission and goals on a quarterly basis, grounding and bringing your team together so they're all on the same page. So you're sending out the same consistent message, no matter who's in the company, to whoever they speak to. If they're all stemming from the same goal or objective, then they're all on the same page. Everything's going to run more effortlessly. Again, building more capacity within your business. And that's one component. Then you can look at your product line or services, your marketing arm, which could be story brand, the operations and business and building in systems and processes within the operations on how does a potential lead come into your business and how is that handled? Is there a hiccup? Is there too many steps? Are we taking the client through an extensive journey that will exhaust them? Or do we need to make this effortless for them so we know we can keep this relationship strong? When you look at the flight plan and Business Made Simple, I know I went through a lot there, but you can
Hmm.
imagine there's so many different amazing components to a business. And when you have each component running effectively and efficiently, imagine the weight lifted off of you as a
Hmm.
business owner and entrepreneur.
Right. So now, like, is this relevant to basically any business, any small business? Like, could be, even if you're like a solopreneur, or if you're running a team of 20 to 100 people, like,
Great
is it
question.
portable?
It is. It is. It is so transferable and it could be applied based on even if just the leaders of every department, they're the leaders. And again, the different components that fall through, we either are selling a product or a service, or maybe even both. But again, how it's being positioned, how is it being conveyed to the market through marketing? Is your business actually, if you have a business that offers maybe 7 different services,
Hmm.
it's pretty overwhelming. I think there's an opportunity, maybe even do a product or service audit where you could evaluate what was more profitable, what is more time consuming, is it even feasible to deliver this product in this day and age, right? It may have been great 10 years ago.
Hmm.
And again, this is not a startup we're talking about, but if it was established, this is our flagship product and service, we can't let this go. So, well, but is it viable? And can it
Hmm.
even be applied, or is it acceptable to the market today? Like, again, if you're not self aware as a business owner within your organization, you're going to be the next Blockbuster. If your audience is referencing, is familiar with what Blockbuster is.
Yeah.
But do you see the idea that if you're not willing to adapt with the times and the changes, then you're maybe not self-aware enough of your business and what's happening, and will the market listen? And
Yeah.
that's where there's an opportunity to always do an audit and check in. And that's important, because if you want to be successful, you got to recognize that you're going to go through the ebbs and flows, and we need to adapt.
That's
Yeah.
excellent advice. Excellent advice. So tell me a little bit, I guess, about GoOneUp and what you do, and I guess for people watching here, what they can do with you with regards to like the service you provide and the help that you provide. I want to know a little bit more about that.
Okay. All right. I appreciate that. Well, I already touched on a number of different frameworks that I help implement with entrepreneurs and small business owners. Everything from the StoryBrand, if they need some focus on the ideas of rebranding or fine tuning their marketing message. Again, I'm a StoryBrand certified guide, and I'm able to take them from beginning to end, really understanding their business and what their messaging is, or what their true objective is. So there's the StoryBrand component, but that is a component, even a smaller component of the flight plan of Business Made Simple, where we could professionalize the business. So again, everything could be running, but are they running efficiently? And this is where GoOneUp steps in. We were able to, and I am able to, build in efficiencies, systems, and processes so every component of your plane flies without imbalance, without turbulence, with enough gas in the tanks, which is your cash flow, right? To be able to know that you could actually move this forward without any uncertainty. And if you have the right leadership, you'll know how to raise to another altitude or lower when you reach clouds and on dark clouds and so on. You know how to navigate through that, considering you have all of the other systems in place, and it's not going to be a rough ride. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
So that's that. That's the business component. Originally, GoOneUp was built on the personal side.
Okay.
And it wasn't really built on capacity. It was the idea of, I believe that every business and every entrepreneur could go one up in their lives first. And that is upping your game, not to be better than anyone else necessarily. I believe in having that competitive advantage within yourself. Because if you know that you could improve yourself, you'll have more energy, more of a stronger, solidified foundation on how you approach your life. And I've seen enough times, unfortunately, where people go through life and they're just going through the motions.
Got it.
We only
So
have one chance.
yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, you're right there. So do you give kind of like an assessment or anything like that for somebody with, if somebody comes to you and they need a business capacity assessment, do you do that for them? Like, tell me the steps.
Very much so. On the personal side, we would basically assess their entire life based on what they feel as though there might be more so emphasis in a certain area that they're coming to me with, but it's important to recognize that. So if someone's having the financial strains
Hmm.
personally, that in itself could be a mindset and a shift in their lifestyle, which is a strain that's coming from the communication they're having with their kids. So it's now family. Or not only that, but how they're even approaching their days,
Hmm.
and how is their health or mindset when it comes to how they're approaching their days, so they could feel as though they have enough in the tank physically, mentally and emotionally to approach their day to improve their finances. That's one component.
Hmm.
So the assessment there, that is very much what we would go through. As
Okay.
for the business side, we do, and I do offer a business assessment audit that's free. All
Oh,
of that's
okay.
free. I do complimentary sessions as it is. So people
Oh,
could
okay.
visit me, and I do a 1 hour strategy session. I want someone to leave with value right off the bat. And I want to know that they know that they have some opportunity. I don't like to, it's interesting, but I felt as though in the past, years ago, as a teenager, I always felt like I had to prove myself. And I don't think
Mhm.
anyone should have to prove themselves. And so I always believe that there's an opportunity where someone could leave even one meeting with me and know that they have some sort of direction or path to take in order to up their game, go one up.
Hmm.
That's the whole point. I want them to know that they can go another level up. But as for the business side, yes, I do have a marketing assessment free from my website at gooneup.co/free resources. There's a
Okay.
resources tab there. There's a business audit. We'll take you through and ask you questions and do a diagnostic on your business based on the questions and answers. And it will let you know where there may be an opportunity, a growth opportunity to improve one area or another. And that's where I could step in and support and build strategies to help that person and small business elevate their game in that area. And there's also one for the marketing
Mhm.
and story brand.
Awesome. And I'm going to have all the links in the description below. So if you
Okay.
want to check out Niall's website or any of his other links, it will be in the description below. I have the one more question, and this came up recently with somebody that I know. Okay. So, obviously since COVID 2020, things have changed, right? A lot of people maybe who were in the corporate world, they were doing the same thing, over and over again. Maybe they lost their job, or maybe they had an epiphany and they're like, you know what, I'm going to start my own gig. Can I ask you, if you had like maybe one piece of sage advice for somebody who's pivoting from like a long corporate career to entrepreneurship, give me some advice
Okay.
on the spot.
That's a great question. That is a really good question because so many things just went through my head right now. Is incredible. First of all, there's one thing I would always say to somebody where it's like, hey, I want to shift gears, but this is a really specific scenario that you've just posed to me. I believe that the you need to recognize that you can't replicate the corporate grind as an entrepreneur. It's a very different animal. But with that said, recognize that there is so much wisdom and so many transferable skills from the corporate world, for example, or from a previous career that are transferable to what you can do as an entrepreneur in small business. That would have to piggyback off of do something and get into a field or an area that you value, you respect, and that lights you up.
Hmm.
When you could bring transferable skills to something that lights you up, you can't wait to get out of bed. You won't be afraid to be faced with challenges because you know that you have the foundational knowledge and insights to be able to find the answers. When we're in the corporate world or any business and so on, and if you're a team player and you're successful and you were there for such a long time, you have the skills to know, say, hey, you know what, I don't have that answer, but I'm going to ask Jane in this department over here to give me some direction. If you're not afraid to ask questions, you're going to get the answer. So
Hmm.
that should put someone's mind at ease as it is. Know that you have the transferable skills. Find a field or a passion that brings value and joy that lights you up, and know that you already have the skills and foundations to be able to know that you'll learn and face challenges, but you'll overcome them because you're not going to be afraid to ask questions. And based on what we've learned up to this point, we know that there's an ever ending path that we can take. It's up to us whether we want to take it or not. The answers are there.
Yeah, that's fantastic advice. That's awesome. Niall, thank you very much for taking some time today
Thank you.
to sit with me and chat. If people want to get in touch with you, there will be links in the description, but go ahead, plug some links for me if you want for people watching.
Well, again, I would love if someone wants more information, they can go to my website at GoOneUp.co. It's GoOneUp.co. And there's also an opportunity to even have a chat with me. Book a complimentary strategy sessions, a full hour. I'd love to have a chat, get to know whoever's listening to this and want to meet. And I would love to have a chat. And if there's any way I could support, I'll be glad to.
Awesome. Now it's been a pleasure. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Thank you to the viewers for watching. Until next time.